Hello, welcome. In today's car program, I want to talk about car dealership car washes. Because, so when you, let me know in the comments here at any time watching this video, like when you take your car for service, if you got a new car or you whatever car and you take it to a dealership, do they wash it for you? When you take your car for service at your auto mechanic who isn't at a dealership, do they like rinse off the car for you? Okay. Let me explain to you my story behind this. I bought my first brand new car. It was a Honda Civic Si. I think it was a 2002. It was that new redesign and had the trunk and wasn't the hatchback. Single overhead cam. Now, when I first bought that car, my parents were always, don't ever take the car to the dealership. They rip you off, right? Now, my buddy was the finance manager, at the time he was a salesman there, and he sold us the car. And we just took it there to get serviced because they treated us really good, right? And every time we took it in for service, they washed the car. They rinsed it off. And they vacuumed out the footwells. And I was like, hey, this is really great service. So we kept taking the car back there. Every time I got service. We ended up trading it in for Honda Odyssey. 2004 Honda Odyssey. Yeah, I think it was an 04. 05? Something like that. Anyways, we kept taking it. By that time, like, we were living on the opposite side of the city as well for that, and they would wash the footwells. Wash the footwell, vacuum the footwells and wash the car, wash the van. I did take that van a couple of times to like the, Jiffy Lube or whatever, and they would always vacuum out the footwells, your oil change. But we ended up taking it to a different Honda dealership closer to our house on the side of the city that we lived in. That place too, they always washed it. They always had the footwells vacuumed. Now this isn't a luxury dealership, it's just a Honda, right? It wasn't Acura, it wasn't anything like that. There was no pairing up. It was a straight Honda dealership. Then we moved to the island. I went to the Honda dealership there and they were assholes, so we stopped taking the car there. We looked for a new third-party mechanic. And we did. We found a guy who worked on Hondas. We were having trouble with the doors and he fixed it, and we kept taking our cars to him. And every time we took the cars in for the oil change or whatever service that we needed, the cars were washed, footwells were vacuumed. I just thought that's what dealerships do. But then I took a guy I was working with at the time. He had to take his Ford Ranger in for a recall, or he had to get an O2 sensor or something like that, some sort of quick fix. So we went to go drop off the car, his truck. Went back later that day to pick it up, and the car was dirty. Like, his truck was dirty. And I said, hey, like, when he got in the truck, when we got back to base, and we were finally in the same truck again, I was like, hey, they don't wash your car? They don't wash your truck? When you go take it in for service? He said, no, they've never done that. So I'm guessing they don't vacuum the footwells either. He goes, no. Because I've been taking this, since I bought the truck, I've been taking it to Ford, and no, they've never done that. It's like, oh, okay. That's when I first realized that not all car dealerships do this. But we had a Toyota as well on the island, and we took it back to the dealership for service, and same thing. Car was washed, footwells were vacuumed. And I said, maybe it's just a domestic car dealer thing. So I don't know. I thought, yeah, okay, that's probably what it is. I don't know. This is why I have a bad opinion of domestic cars in general, but car dealerships also. Like, they don't seem customer care centered, and I'll get people in the comments saying otherwise, right? They get the best service and best treatment at a Ford dealership or their Dodge dealership or their Chevy dealership, right? I'm sure you do, right? Now, like, we live in Canada, and the vehicles get incredibly gross. And, you know, for your tech, I asked my friend that time, like, that was at the Honda dealership. I'm like, hey, dude, like, why do they rinse off the cars and all of that? I've never seen that done before. And that was the first time I knew about that. And he goes, well, it's so that our techs don't have to work on dirty cars. Because, you know, if the car is dirty and it's got all the mud and salt grit and all of that all over it, it makes finding things difficult. But also if they rub up the car against the car accidentally, it scratches it and stuff like that, right? And we've had complaints. So everybody now washes their cars before they get them serviced, right? Unless you say no, you don't want it washed. And I thought, oh, hey, you know, what a great thing. And so that stuck with me through all these years, you know. And then finding out that this third-party mechanic that we took our car to, and he worked on like Volkswagens and stuff. I took my BMW there. We took the van there, the Honda Odyssey, the second Honda Odyssey. We took it there, and yeah, I just thought, you know, okay, it's just normal. It's part of the service now. It makes, you know, they're competing against like Jiffy Lube and Great Canadian Oil Change, because if you don't want to, you need this, you know, if you're charging the same prices or a little bit more, then, you know, the service is what people come back for, right? I bought a Dodge Hornet. Never thought I'd buy a Dodge product, but the first time I took it to a dealership is out here in the sticks, where I moved to, and they don't do that either, right? They don't rinse the car off, and they don't, you know, vacuum out the footwells. Not a, you know, crisis or anything like that. I just thought, you know, it makes sense for them to wash the car, for their service techs not to, you know, don't have to work on a dirty car sort of thing, right? But the cars that are all in there, they're all rough, especially when I was taking it for the oil change at the time, and, you know, they were just dirt, lots of gravel roads, things like that. And I don't know if they see it as feasible. And I take it to the Dodge dealership, and they don't wash the cars. And I mentioned it in one of the, you know, my first service, they want you to do the, you know, customer appreciation, how was your service today thing. And I just, you know, I wrote that in there. Not to pound on the dealership or anything like that. You know, dealerships are having a hard time right now. I don't know. I don't want it to affect anybody's job, but I just thought, hey, I'm making a video. I just thought, hey, you know, I kind of thought it was almost a standard now when you took your car into the car dealership, if they want your business, you know, that kind of stuff. I talked to my sister about it, and she drives a Volvo, and she goes, yeah, like, every car, yeah, I take my Volvo in, and the car is rinsed off, they vacuum out the footwells, and sometimes they even, like, wipe off the dashboard and stuff. If the car's dusty, they'll clean it up, right, when you take it in for the oil change and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm, like, not crazy about this. And she said, no, like, I don't know either, she says. Like, when we had our other cars, they had a Jeep Cherokee for a while, but they never took it to the dealership to get it serviced, right? They had a guy that they took it to. But the guy that they took it to washed it, made sure that it was clean when they got it, before they worked on it and after, right? And I'll say that too, you know, most of these places, they've been rinsing it off when the car comes in, and then they rinse it off before you get it, like after the service is done. Because I've shown up there waiting for the car, and they'll say, hey, no, it's getting rinsed off again. I said, hey, man, that's like the second time. He said, yeah, it's just a rinse. I was like, oh, okay. Let me know in the comments if, you know, your car dealership does that for you, or the third-party mechanic that you shop that you take it to, do they, You know, do they rinse off your car? Like, I'm not saying it's part of the service. I'm not saying it should be part of the service. I was just introduced to it at a weird time where it seemed to be the standard at the time. And now that car prices are phenomenally high, that I'm surprised. I'm surprised. Like, I don't know. Tell me what you think in the comments. I think it should be a thing. It's a nice thing to have done. My sister actually has the mindset where she leaves it dirty specifically to get it. She's a car wash person too, but she leaves it, you know, she takes, car's dirty enough, I'll take it in for service, they'll wash it for me, and you know, that kind of thing. I haven't done that yet. I'm starting to now, before I take it in, to run it through the car wash so that the techs aren't dirty when they're working on the car, sort of thing. I don't know if they've noticed, but maybe they will. Anywho, say something in the comments. Like and subscribe. I'm at 50. Well, I'm still at 50, but I'm making a ton of videos here today. They'll come out. Let's see how many subscribers. I don't know. 50. I should get to 100 maybe. I should be trying for 100. Should be trying for 100. Let me know in the comments if I should be trying for 100. All right, thumbs up. I'll see you in the next one.